Is this working? Working? Nope, 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 nope. Well, the problem is that for yeah. Never bear with us for. Gotta get the mics working. So. There we go. Excellent. And she can do audio video. All right, I'd like to welcome everybody. We can stand for the pledge. Welcome, everybody. I think if we have a emergency or a fire, I think we're in very good hands tonight. I do need a vote to adjourn exec and enter the public hearing. All in favor? Right, so this is the public hearing regarding the tax exemption related to volunteer firefighters and ambulance first responders. Bruce is not here. Is there any, Aaron, do you want to speak to this?
So New York State allows school districts to approve a resolution which would permit any volunteer firefighter or volunteer ambulance worker to get a real property tax exemption, which is up to 10% real property tax. So a couple criteria, they have to be an active member of a volunteer firefighter organization for at least 2 years. And this exemption also covers lifetime. If they have served more than 20 years of active service, then they get a lifetime exemption. A part of the resolution also that we added in here was that should they be killed in active duty, that their spouse, if they've had at least 5 years of active service, their spouse would then be entitled to the exemption on the real property tax. Or if they've served as at least 20 years, then their unremarried spouse would be able to also have that exemption. So in order to qualify, they would have a letter from their organization attesting to the fact that they were an active member for at least 2 years. Then they would go to the assessor's office and apply.
Great. Bear with me one second. I'll just do the. Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, and so sorry. She's always keeping us in line. Any questions from the board? No. We do have a public comment section, so if there's anyone that would like to address the board regarding the exemption, at least one of you, please. Yeah, yeah. And if you can just state your name so they can put it in the record.
I want to thank the board, uh, Red Hook Central School District for accepting the letter. This is going to be a huge tool for recruitment, retainment. There is tremendous amount of dedicated volunteers that serve this community, both ambulance as firefighters. So again, it will be a huge tool, another tool in our box to bring in members, for the community that might not be here, don't understand. We do have a lot of new people that live in this community. This is 100% volunteer organizations. We do not get paid a dime. People run their own personal vehicles, their own fuel, their own insurance, going to calls, going to the firehouses. So this is just another way to show gratitude to all the time and effort that they put in training. So again, thank you to everyone. I hope this passes and everything goes through. There is a large group of members in both departments that have served this community for 20, 30, 40, 50 plus years that deserve this, and it's getting harder and harder to pay taxes here. So it'll be a big relief for most of them. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? All right. If not, then we're going to adjourn the public hearing. And
Mention that the vote on this comes later in consent.
actually, we're going to adjourn the public hearing. I'll need a motion and a vote to do that. And then we're going to go straight to consent agenda so that we'll vote on the consent agendas, which this item is a part of. So do I have a motion to adjourn the public hearing?
Motion. Second.
All in favor? All right. And so now we're going to adjust our order here and we're going to go to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
Second.
So we'll now be reviewing, discussing and voting on everything on the consent agenda. This does include a donation from the Cienzo Foundation, some field trips, the tax exemption that we just discussed, a number of other things. Any questions or comments from any board members on anything here? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All good. Thank you for your service.
Do you know? I can.
All right, so now we're going to go back to the regular order of our meeting, and that brings us to recognitions. Dr. Warden?
So Tom Casada, Tom, you're here, right? Yeah. And if we can also call up Chief Mike Lane from the Red Hook Fire Department to be recognized.
Mike's gonna hate this. So Mike was my student many, many years ago. We won't say how many. And played on a few of my teams. So it's great to continue to work with Mike in this capacity. So many of you don't know, for many years, we didn't have an athletic trainer. So I would try to get the volunteer fire departments to come work all of our football games specifically. And for many years we did that. And it became challenging. We had many years where we would contract out with Northern Dutchess paramedics. Then Mike came on the scene and said, Mike, could you maybe, step back up and help us out? See Mike all the time. Both companies come to the school when we have emergencies. They're always there for us, and it's very important. We have at the school when we do have the mock accident. Everybody's seen those pictures. If you haven't gotten to see what they do there, it's amazing, and put on presentations for our kids. So it's comforting to know that they're there whenever we need them, especially when we have these football events where, by all means, it's one of our, most highest causes of injury. So having the ambulance crew there in conjunction with our athletic trainer and visiting other schools that have the athletic trainer there as well is a huge plus. It makes everybody feel good. We appreciate their knowledge. We appreciate their help. And they transport kids for us quite a lot. Not just our kids, if somebody from another district is hurt, they, you know, they step right up and take care of that. So Mike's been instrumental in having that peace of mind for our programs and providing that safety for our kids. So, we've been planning on doing this a couple of times, and every time we do it, Mike's always at a call. So, we finally got him here tonight, and hopefully there's not another call because there's a lot of people here as well. But, I just wanted to, you know, thank the company, in front of the board and let them know that they do a lot of work behind the scenes. Mike's a quiet guy. He loves coming to the school. Every time we got a fire drill that goes off, you know, Mike shows up right there and, you know, because we've had a few this year. We had a pretty big one, had a gym full of people and couldn't get the fire alarm to go off, and there's Mike helping us out as always. So, we appreciate all the work he does and all the work all the fire departments do locally. And it's great tonight that this was part of the agenda. So this worked out really well. So, I just want to thank Mike and the company and everything they do. Want to say anything, Mike? He does not want to say.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. Ratty? Are the students here?
Are, let's see. Are Ben and Nora here? I didn't see them. So I think the students that we were going to recognize might have had a last minute conflict come up. So maybe we can invite them again in the future. But if Dr. Ward and I could just speak briefly about their achievements. So tonight we're recognizing Ben Posner and Nora Callahan Jurgens, two of our incredible student musicians who recently not only attended our regional All-State, but actually were two Red Oak students that went to the state level NYSSMA All-State Festival. Absolutely an incredible accomplishment. Nora is a soprano in our choir. She's also involved with musicals, all sorts of drama club activities. She's also performed outside of Red Oak in Rhinebeck as well. So extremely talented. Ben Posner, he plays the tuba, and he actually went beyond the state level, and he's playing in the Northeastern ensemble as well. So for, you know, a relatively small school district, we have two shining stars among many others in our music department. But again, we're so impressed with these two students and all their peers, as you know, we can all appreciate the time and dedication to become this level of a musician, the hours upon hours, years after years of practice and passion. It's commendable. We appreciate it, and we just want to celebrate and recognize them. So hopefully we can have them back in the future. But in case their schedules don't allow, because they are very, very busy, at least we can give them a shout out here tonight. Thank you.
And Miss Smith, Miss Cirillo? And I think Isaac is here too.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate appreciate being allowed to come and recognize a student tonight. So it is my privilege tonight to recognize a very exceptional student from our Lambs community. His name is Isaac Shapiro. At the recent New York State Council on Leadership and Student Activities Conference in Lake Placid, Isaac, our Lambs Student Council President, was recognized for his remarkable leadership. Isaac earned both the Emerging Student Leader of Designation and the Kelly Jeffers Outstanding Student Leader Award. These accolades not only reflect his natural leadership abilities, but also his dedication to our school community. Isaac's achievements are the perfect example of our commitment to fostering leadership skills in our young people. Thank you for being a reflection of our school and of our reader profile. Isaac, we look forward to watching you continue your continued growth and positive impact in our school community this year and beyond. Congratulations. So we're gonna we'll have a certificate for Isaac. You want to say anything? All right, and next, please help me congratulate Lamb Student Council Advisor Lauren Cerullo, who also earned recognition this year at the state level Student Council Conference, winning the NYSCLA 2024 Kim Goldhirsch Middle Level Advisor of the Year. So we really cleaned up at this conference. There are two things that I want to let you know that are very special about this recognition. The first is that this award originated one of our retired teachers, Kim Goldhirsch. And she was actually there at the conference to present the award, which was really special. Second, this nomination for this award was originated by student council members from both from Lambs and the high school, who took the initiative this fall to nominate Lauren and to go through the application recommendation process. So that also makes it really special that it originated from students. Lauren exemplifies educational excellence and dedication in her leadership. She's involved in everything in our school building, and she truly has a pulse on the school community. This recognition not only reflects Lauren's outstanding contribution, but also her profound impact to our students' lives. So thank you, Lauren, and congratulations.
I would like to just say something about Isaac. The one award that he won actually was a 2-year application process that he went through with all of these things that he had to submit and things like that. It's really a big deal to get that, and it takes a lot of time and dedication. And he is a true go-getter. He is there everywhere when we need somebody to do something or take a leadership role. He is well, I'm sure he's going to do great things in the future.
Hello, I am Isaac, and I am the president of Student Council this year. The reason we wanted to give Mrs. Searle the Best Student Council Advisor of the Year is because this is her 3rd year Student Council Advisor, and she has been an immense help. She's helped so many people with things like leadership applications and has generally made Student Council a more fun place. I have no idea what Student Council would be like without her. This year, we wanted to do something special because of all the wonderful things she's done for us. These activities brought Student Council to work as a team, and we all know each other. With the help of over 20 people, we gave this honor to Mrs. Searle. She has helped greatly with not just us, but all the grades at Lambs as advisors. Thank you to everyone who helped from RHHS and Lambs. Thank you for your attention and time. Have a good night.
Thank you. All right, that brings us to our student BOE remarks. Danielle. Oh, hi.
Hi, sorry.
Snuck in, sorry.
The student council is planning a spring carnival at the high school for a date tentatively as June 4th. The blood drive in the spring is starting to become like in planning stages. For sports, both girls and boys basketball will play a game against Marlborough tomorrow. Indoor track and field has a divisional meet this Saturday. The wrestling team won their meet against Liberty the other day, and the boys swim team won their meet today against Valley Central. Or we'll swim a meet against Valley Central today. I don't know if they've won yet. They did win.
Okay.
And then the robotics team has a competition on Saturday.
So for the senior class, we're choosing our prom theme next week, which is super exciting. And then we're also ordering our senior class t-shirts, which Ava Hubner designed. And we had a vote and it was great. Mentor Club, we're having a unified spring soiree on April 5th. It's under the sea themed, and it's at the high school. It's from 5 to 8 p.m. And pretty much just everybody is preparing for midterms next week, the 21st through the 24th.
Good luck on midterms.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Next, that brings us to Dr. Summers. Presentation.
I'll just do a quick introduction to this too. As many of you know, digital literacy is really important to us, not only for our students' future with their digital footprints, but also the importance of using digital literacy as a tool in the workforce, also in your personal life. And something new that we've been working on the past couple of years is the concept of how artificial intelligence will be implemented in the school district and what that will look like. So Dr. Summers has done a lot of work in this area for the past couple of years. So we're going to give you some highlights of what we've done so far and where we're headed.
Thank you, Dr. Warden. All you can hear
Good evening. Thank you for coming for this. So first of all, I'd like to thank, this takes a team to do this type of work. And I'd like to thank the people who contributed to this PowerPoint. Donna Seelbach takes a lead role as the Director of Technology. The principals, including Dr. Boyd, Mrs. Smith, and Mr. Roddy, do a fabulous job at the school level to make sure that when we're asked by the State Education Department, that we implement it with fidelity. And I'd also like to let you know that the elementary librarians really helped me out a lot, Mrs. Shoemaker and Mrs. Quinn Carl. So thank you to all of them before I get started. Next slide. So what is artificial intelligence? It's We've had some form of artificial intelligence. It's been around for a while. It's algorithms, analytics, artificial intelligence has been used by K-12 and higher education for years. Um, Now we have a newish generative AI. So we need to keep up as far as district policies and procedures are, and we must speak to the intersection of the AI benefits and all the data privacy rules and regulations schools are required to abide by, which we keep a very close um, notice to, and we are working right now towards an AI policy. Next slide. So, distinct use cases of AI tools in schools, and that is the verbiage that is used for tools. So we have it under umbrellas of institution, teacher, and students. So there are different examples of the different tools. We use it at an institutional level to create newsletters, presentation content. We also add a teacher focus. They can be used to create lesson plans, generate differentiated instruction, and also draft letters of recommendations. Student focus, that could be learning portals that personalize content based on student input, and some assistance with writing assignments and translation of content to students' preferred language. So it is a good tool, but we are examining all of the ways that we should be using them in our instructional environment. So AI tools used in Red Hook are the following, and I'm not going to read all these slides to you. So they're Microsoft's Copilot. All these things have been vetted through our tech department, except for Chat GPT. That is something that is used certainly for letters of recommendations and different things that we need at an institution level. Khan Amigos used a lot with a teacher focus and also with a student focus at the high school only. Next steps for AI. We have a committee form for the creation of an AI district policy to address the different distinct use cases for AI. We're going to continue to provide ongoing professional development to make sure that we foster effective, appropriate use of AIs to support instruction. And then we will continue to vet requests for AI products and making sure that we are complying with all the different regulations that we need to. Ed Law 2D, FERPA, COPA, HIPAA regulations. Next slide.
Good. So before you go on, Dr. Summers, if just talk a little bit about, I was able to see Mr. Roddy's roundtable discussions on AI. Oh, that's what's coming? Next
Coming.
slide, sorry.
Coming, Dr.
I know
Ward.
you're gonna be-
That's at the end.
I'm doing
But-
like
but-
foreshadowing.
So what is digital literacy? It certainly is the knowledge and the ability to use digital technology to create, research, communicate, collaborate, and share information. We need to make sure that our students and staff understand digital citizenship, which is really making sure that when you're using digital literacy, that you do it in an appropriate, safe, ethical, legal, and positive way in online environments. What it's not a teacher certification area, nor is it expected to become a class that a student takes. It really is embedded in all of our work. So New York State Education Department has set a standards for computer science and digital fluency learning standards. And this is something that can be accessed through the New York State Education Department. And it is a large document, but it really outlines all the standards that are needed in each of the grade levels. So this is something that started in 2018. The state legislation passed a regulation that said that New York State Education Department had to, but required them to draft standards. The Education Department reached out to the field, educators, people that work in the profession, and they really spent time, 2 years, to reflect on what it should look like. The standards, the draft standards came out in 2020, and then they continued to draft those. They're under 5 concepts: impact of computing, computational thinking, networks and systems design, cybersecurity, and digital literacy. This is the timeline. So there was awareness building from December 2020 until June 2022. Then rollout happened at the state level for capacity building, which from July 2022 to August 2023. And then there was initial implementation last year, and September of this year was full implementation. We have done that. We are always looking at the standards to make sure that we're not missing any. And that is done through our library systems, through our classrooms, and we certainly offer some courses specific to computer science. So part of this process is the deployment of the one-to-one devices. Our students have Apple computers. They, during the school year of 2022, 2023, it was year one. Devices were given out to grades 6 through 12. That was 950 MacBooks. And so we use Smart School Bond Act funds to make sure to purchase those MacBooks. Year two was one-to-one devices to all of those students to make sure that we did not miss anyone. And then year three, this year, which was new, is one-to-one devices were given to all fifth graders. Now those devices stay at school. For the 6 through 12, they do take them home and are able to use them at home. And next slide. Okay, so how do we do this? Mill Road Elementary students have access to Apple devices. At the primary level, the kindergarten classes attend sessions in the iPad lab with their teachers. And grades 1 and 2 have shared iPad carts. And at the intermediate level, students have access to MacBook carts, and grade 5 participates in the one-to-one program. Students are learning keyboarding and using typing.com. Wow. Okay. I have it here. Then also, next one. The library programs, next slide, please. Do use a Common Sense Media program. Students also explore lessons from unplugged projects to create chatbots and simple video games to strengthen their understanding of AI literacy in the upper elementary. And libraries also have mixed device carts. Courses at the secondary level. Again, reminding you that all 6 through 12 students have Apple MacBooks, and digital standards are embedded across the curriculum. So the high school offers AP Computer Science, Design and Drawing Production, Advanced Video Production, and at the middle school, all students take Computer Science, which is a class. Professional development. So that's one of the ways that we support our educators in making sure they're current and compliant with the expectation of the standards from the state. So we do ongoing educational workshops. We have done this for years. The IT department has been very supportive of this. We have our own teachers that are very talented in the area of technology and offer professional developments within our after school, but outside of their workday, but to teachers so that these workshops can be ongoing. And now, Dr. Warden, you attended Mr. Roddy's
Yeah.
roundtable.
It was amazing. When I first started teaching, we had very little content to draw from. So the lesson plans, the assessments that you could find, the rubrics are all right there just by typing in a few words, and the teachers are getting an idea. Obviously, you're still going to look through and see what works for your class, but just the amount of time it can cut down for planning and ideas, I think is great. I also wanted to make it mention that one of the strands that Dr. Summers mentioned before, and we're starting to look into, is cybersecurity.
Right.
There is a huge market out there for students that graduate high school and college in that area. So that's something that we're trying to explore, like how to offer that in the high school. How do we have the area of expertise of our teachers to offer that? Because that is a large field that's happening right now all over for our students. So we're exploring that concept right now.
And I did talk with Mr. Roddy. They are starting to develop a pathway for computer science, and that would include cybersecurity.
And also, as some of you have the books in front of you, do know that the kids are not just behind their computers. We know that this is a tool. This is not going anywhere. So it does help you with your classes, but there also is a reality that students aren't outside anymore, and they're not playing, and they're not collaborating, talking to each other as much as they have in the past. They're using much more social media. So the book talk and the community, I think, will help with the balance of all this that's going on. Also, in addition, we have tons of time for recess in almost all of our schools too. So that's really important to us. So there is a balance. Also, our counselors push in, especially at the middle school, and talk about digital footprint. So whatever you put online is there forever, and the impact that could have on you when you apply for colleges. Colleges do look at your social media. So getting students to understand that this is a great tool, but there's also a lot of things that can go wrong if you're not using your judgment as well. So it's a balance for us to know that this is the future, but also that there's a lot of things out there that students and families have to take precautions about.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for talking about having that balance, because when I see, kindergartners using iPads at school and second graders needing to learn how to type on a keyboard, it sort of does raise that question for me of like, is that really necessary?
So
And
most
what
of
does it look like? What
yeah.
are they doing? And, parents are trying to balance screen time at home, and they're having also now screen time at school, and just
Yeah.
that balance that you're.
So if when you pass the imagination station, coding for primary kids is picking stuff up and like physically moving. They're not actually on computers for that. It's patterns, it's creating patterns, pathways. So it's part of a bigger so they're working on many more activities than just that. There's like little pre-engineering classes, there's coding, I don't know what else you want to, the green screen, right, robotics in there. So that is also part of this, is that basis. Typing came up as an issue because students type most of the time on their cell phones and they use their fingers. So believe it or not, like I know how to type. I couldn't tell you where any of the letters are, but I took typing when I was in school. So I think one of the things that we took for granted is that kids knew how to type, which actually they don't. They were just like plugging at the numbers. So we wanted to go back and say that this is also a skill. So that is more of like a program where the kids go on, and it's more of like a rote program, like find A and then
And it's also, New York State tests are done computer-based testing.
Correct.
So they need to know how to type. And it's a great life skill, typing. This isn't going away. When people go out into the world of work, college, it's part of the process. So, thank you. As Dr. Warden said, we do offer a very balanced program of having kids be actively engaged and also making sure they're current with trends.
Yeah.
So,
I have a question on the AI side of this. You reference ChatGPT, Copilot. I'd be interested, do we have any examples of how teachers are leveraging generative AI or AI-based avatars or any kind of educational media to complement what they're doing in the classroom?
I can't give you a specific example,
We,
but I
I
will
mean,
tell
Khan
you-
Academy's been going
Khan
on forever.
Academies,
That has
yeah.
always been part of it. It's just now it pulls up millions of videos. I could put in ChatGPT right now. Tomorrow I'm going to teach a lesson on flowers, pollination of flowers. Give me 5 videos that are appropriate for 5-year-olds who this is the first time they've ever heard the concept. Obviously, you're going to go through each of the videos and say, is this relevant? Is this appropriate?
I do know some teachers are using it for lesson planning,
Mhm.
but real careful look at what it has. That's why we continue with professional development. No information, no personal information can be put into any of these AI engines.
Right.
So, but it is enhancing our instruction. I don't think it's taking away from our instruction, and it's used with great thought.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, the reason I ask is I see tremendous opportunity for it to leverage and enhance education. You can think
Mhm.
about foreign language and avatars that are, front ends to an AI that you can interact with. There's
Basic
lots of apps on,
engaging, yeah.
that do that, and there's, on down the line.
Or even like personalizing it. So if I'm saying I'm going to teach about the American Revolution tomorrow and I have students who struggle with reading and then I have students who are more, you could put your exactly what you're going to read with the class and say, could you make this more accessible for students who have dyslexia? Could you make this, more advanced for students who already have prior knowledge for this? So those tools as a former special education teacher is huge because those are things that you're modifying. Now you have that, or students who don't speak English, could you translate this for me really quickly? I think that's the key to the amount of time that teachers take planning.
And I think also, I mean, AI is changing so quickly, and education with great respect doesn't change as quickly. We know that, right? I think that it's all in the theme of how kids learn, right? So the fact that you can take, a semester's worth of information and synthesize it in seconds is going to force teachers to think about lesson planning in a different methodology, because kids are not going to have the patience to go Revolutionary War first, 5 year, it's a different speed with which there's access to information. So it's going to help us shape, like
Well,
you
it's a different
said.
kind of teaching. I mean,
Yeah.
I think most of us, I'm going to age myself, it was either the encyclopedia or your parents told you. So now it's, it's true. So now, and think about, and that's my lifetime. So these students can go out and they can find out anything. So now what you have to teach them is this a reliable source? Who gave this information? Where'd this information come from? So information is everywhere now. So it's constantly in there on your social media. I mean, it's all day long. And what skill they need more than ever is who wrote this? What was their point of view? What's their purpose? And that's what the classes are more like. You can't learn every bit of content anymore. I don't know. Do you guys want to talk about AI or anything? Not to put you on the spot. Yeah.
She's not asking you to confess that that's how you did your English assignment.
Like a part of the process of turning in like our papers, like our IAs or like essays that we do, we have to turn them in through turnitin.com, which will give our teachers kind of like a percentage of like which ones of human written and AI written things.
It'll say like AI 12%.
So that's a huge part of like just our like that's how we turn things in. I think it's helpful. Like you can type in to like AI, like give me sample IB style questions that ask me about genetics or something if I want to study for my like bio exam. I think that's like helpful.
Right.
I feel like our teachers are teaching us how to use it in a way that is more productive rather than like plagiarism. So like for math, we use Microsoft Copilot to like get sample questions, and stuff like that. And it's also everything is turning digital now. Like our AP calculus exam is going from completely paper to half online and half, um,
Looking that up for AP, like we're online, like
yeah. There's 16
16 AP subjects that will have a fully digital exam.
here, and it's changing this year. So it's kind of just showing that everything is turning digitally, and AI is unfortunately a big part of that, but it can be used in more productive ways rather than.
And coming back to the professional development, because obviously, teachers need, support and, training to know how to, optimize some of these tools. And I know you spoke to it, but now it's circling back to.
So we do ongoing professional development, and some of our teachers have become very wise about AI. So they're sharing their expertise. I do know that when we go to conferences, AI is always a piece of it. So, and BOCES does offer some AI. I think the internal work that Mr. Roddy is doing with his roundtable AI is important. I know Jen Malitsky at the middle school has done a lot with AI. So it's building our capacity for professional development, both in-house and sending people out for AI.
Yeah.
And, the most important thing, and this goes back to Dr. Daggett, is, and also Linda Jordan, is that we need to teach students how to make very strong prompts because that's what part of this is about. And then we need to teach students, including teachers, how to edit the information that comes out of it and how to know whether or not it is correct. Not all AI information is accurate, and that has to be watched also. So I think it's a thinking process that we're teaching our teachers, and also they're teaching their students on how to approach this new tool. It's like when the internet first came out, or we rolled out computers,
Or the calculator.
or the calculator.
Yeah.
But ongoing professional development is key, and we do have a lot of teachers participate in it. And we've also had a lot of teachers participate in the book study. So that balance again is so important.
Yeah.
And that's part of our role as educators, is to make sure we're continuous in our practice and our best instructional methods for teaching.
Yeah, I think that that's a really good point. I think one of the jobs we were looking at in the future is a prompt writer. So if you're interested in that. I mean, if anybody's used it, you know that you get better and better as you use it. That's the better your prompt is, the better information you put in, quicker the information is. So thanks, Dr. Sunday.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you
And-
for
Thanks,
asking that.
Matt.
That was smart.
All right. Where does that?
Russ,
Bring
could I
it.
just say one thing?
Oh, yeah.
I just want to thank our firefighters for coming, and I know our meetings are really exciting, but we respect your time. So please, you don't have to stay, go to your families, and
Or you could
Yes.
stay. I mean, there's a lot more
Stay.
exciting things happening.
thank you.
I did already vote and approve the exemption, so you're good to go. All right.
Well, they
Yeah.
really think. These stickers are rude. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought they were interested.
Notice to go. All right. That does bring us to our first recognition of visitors. Clear out.
Thank you.
Thank you. So that brings us to our first recognition of visitors. If there's anyone that would like to speak to the board again, you have 3 minutes. If you can state your name and about 15 seconds before your 3 minutes is up, I'll give you a little polite wave. So I'll open it up if anyone would like to speak to the board.
And that
that results is what I'm here to give a brief analysis of. The on the DEI cost benefit analysis, I've got the top 7. There are many others. Costs and benefits of DEI, educational philosophy. On the benefit side, the number 1 benefit is increased educational performance, whether increased or not increased. Number 2 is better racial, sexual, or other understandings of the community. Number 3 is better employee satisfaction. Number 4 is better parent satisfaction. 5 is better student satisfaction. 6 is better public satisfaction, and better mental health of the students is number 7. These are not in any particular order. There could be other benefits. Unfortunately, the administration has not really helped in this process at all. The cost side, we have hard costs of the consultant fees that have occurred and other associated costs. We have soft costs or opportunity costs of going in a different direction or different philosophy and goals of education. Number 3, we have a worsening or not worsening satisfaction of the DEI process with the public, parents, teachers, students, and other employees. Number 4 is increased legal costs. Number 5 is decreased or flat educational performance. 6 is the lack of financial focus by the Board of Education and administrative leadership. For example, enrollment is down 18%, 2019 to 2025, and costs per students are up 49%, same period. That means the cost per student has surged to a current $3,914 per student this year. Increased homeschooling is number 7. The top costs to look at are the hard costs, the opportunity costs, the increased legal costs, and the, of course, results of the educational performance. Unfortunately, on the benefit side, I cannot find any benefits whatsoever. On the cost side, the estimated cost is about $2 million per year and estimated to accelerate about 20% per year. In conclusion, we have, I think, 3 choices here. We can end DI in the Red Hook School District immediately as an acknowledged costly failure in performance, if not outright dollars. B, we can do nothing. We can continue the DEI educational philosophy and continue to waste taxpayer dollars with no clear benefits. This, of course, is the definition of insanity, doing the same thing again and again and expecting different. C, which is what I would suggest, and I offer to the board, my aid and also discussions in the future. I want the board to seriously consider community discussions. And as I suggested 3.5 years ago to Dr. Warden on DEI, why we need it and what are the benefits, and does it exceed the costs of the process? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, folks. My name is James Canator. I just actually happen to be here on separate business tonight, but we were talking about how educators are implementing AI in the classroom, and I thought that this would be a really good example. So I'm a teacher here in the district. I teach social studies and special education. One of my class sections, I have 13 L students, so English language learners, and I also have students with 504 plans and IEPs. So it's a very diverse group. And they're really enjoyable to teach and to work for. Some of the ways that I've implemented AI in the classroom this year is being able to target specific vocab words to support instruction. and being able to level them for the students and to meet them where they're at. A number of my students have come to the country very recently, and they don't have primary education in their first language, their home language, and their English proficiency is also very low. So being able to help support grade level education and meet students where they're at, AI has been a really great resource. I'm able to figure out where the students need instruction. That's, generally with the assistance of our ENL teacher, um, and then target specific vocabulary words, and then use AI to create accurate vocabulary lists, tailor definitions, and I can align that with study guides and assessments, and I can do that very quickly and consistently, so I can continue to implement targeted instruction in the classroom instead of trying to narrow texts or narrow lists. The AI tools that we have available, some are for free, some provided by the district, really help to target education and really work with the students and meet them where they're at. So
That's
so
great. Thank you.
guys very much.
Yeah.
If I may, I really appreciate how much energy and attention you guys have all given to recognizing that we are at the very beginning of a new industrial or intellectual and academic revolution. AI is really changing the landscape of where we work, where we play, how things work. And your attention to that and implementing it in primary education is really important. Typing skills are foundational. I have two children, one of whom who's in second grade here. And I'm counting on you guys, I'm counting on us to be able to provide them with the basic tools they need, how to type, how to write prompts, but also just basic reading skills and thinking and learning skills. Like it doesn't work. AI doesn't work. Technology doesn't work if we don't support reading, writing, and play and teaching kids how to use these skills. So I appreciate the time and attention you guys have all given to this topic.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for the effort you're putting in to kind of creatively find and leverage technology to support some of our students that need extra help. Anybody else? All right. That brings us to Superintendent Communications, Dr. Borden.
I don't know if anybody was able to listen to Governor Hochul's State of the Address, but I wanted to address a couple of the topics or priorities that she outlined that have implications for education. So we did note before, and again, thanks to the Asienzo Foundation for supporting our Breakfast for All. Good night. Drive safe. Governor Hochul has put in her budget universal school meals for all children. So that's not only breakfast, but it's breakfast and lunch for every child in New York State. She's also proposed modernizing the civil service system, which is huge for us. As you know, that we have our certified employees, but we also have our civil service employees throughout there, and the system is antiquated, to say the best. So looking at waiving some of the fees, just an awareness campaign of how you can apply for a civil service job. So that will be great for us because those are the areas that we need a lot of support in. She's also talking about a program to work with the Department of Labor that if different businesses hire high school students, that they will be reimbursed 50%. I think that's a great way to get students into the workforce. She's also talking about increasing investments in early college, high school programs. She's also discussed youth mental health with the teen mental health first aid program, which we started already. And then weaving in social emotional well-being into after school programs, and as well as expanding broadband and cell phone service. Yes, there are many people that don't still have that. She also talked about, there's been a lot of discussion about cell phones. It doesn't look like that she's given a direct idea of what she's going to do, but she calls it distraction-free learning. So I think she's going to be providing some standards for school districts to look at. Other areas of interest is expanding what we just talked about, media literacy, talking about how to help teachers with guides on how to combat misinformation, launching a public education campaign. Another area of interest I thought for us is she's looking to provide additional funding for agriculture in the classroom programs that will enhance students' understanding of agricultural food systems and nutrition. So I think having already having a future farmers and looking at a lot of the programs that we already have. So that was something I think we should just take note of. So these are all her proposals. So we'll see. And I know we've already had many discussions around those areas. What's going on in the districts? At Mill Road, as you know, we transitioned to trimesters, and that seems to be much more successful than having the 4 different quarters. That gives teachers times to get to know the students better. We do have a great spelling bee winner. It's a 5th grader, Mahi Jane. She'll be coming to one of our next meetings, but our 5th grader swept the bee, which is great. It's very tense, those things. We continue to do our Shakespeare workshops. I was able to see that this week. There's a lot of energy in that room. Moving on to Lambs. Lambs is also thinking about moving perhaps next year to a trimester as well, because it gives teachers more time with students and not so focused on, I got to get so many grades for a certain portion of time. And as you could read her report, there was some great activities. Bingo volleyball was going on. Martha Strieber was again acknowledged. It's still going. She's been recognized by the SUNY New Paltz alumni, as well as Representative Pat Ryan mentioned her name on the floor, the U.S. State House of Representatives. Let's see. Oh, I think another thing that's really great is when we talk about real world connections. I think you were able to see that one of our teachers, Justin Deming, which we'll also have come, he wrote a book called 50/50s. It's a literary project that he's been working on. And he put it out there to say, if you buy this, I will donate all the proceeds to local families in need. So they made $375, but we also want to congratulate him. It is a huge thing to write a book. So, and also our 8th graders also wrote a book that's in the library at Red Hook, if you want to take a look at that. And moving on to the high school, we're starting course selection. So it feels like we're always building for next year, living in the following year. We're also working on an exterior mural. We got the permission of the original person that painted the mural to move. You have to do that. So now we're going to look to, with the support of Ali Rowland and the Education Foundation, moving forward with that. When we talk a lot about equity, we also talk about the fact that we are growing our IB for all. So every student is now in our English program. So they all have the access and opportunity to be in there. And we were able to be recognized by IB as a school that is having a lot of success in this. So I don't know if you got a chance to read that they would like to have more information about how we were able to make that successful. So that's really great if we could be a model for other districts. We're looking at a possible another new course next year called Innovative Journalism and Media Content Production. We're looking at the ELA classes. I know that English teachers came and they told you they were doing the English classes before the IB. They're looking at making those full year instead of half year, I think, to get to know the students a little bit better. All of our 11th graders will be taking the ELA Regents in January. That's something that we move towards. Let me see. Anything else? Oh, just like I had done before, the freshman focus, again, will include that teen mental health first aid that was recognized in the governor's proposals as well. And let's see. So as far as facilities are going, we have, as you know, we have a new HVAC system at the high school. So we have trainers coming in to help people learn the equipment because it's much more digitized than it ever was before. And we have that chiller, which is a new type of technology for our staff to use. So we have a lot of training going in there. The temperature build, it also got passed. So that was the bill that a classroom can't get above a certain temperature, that you have to move the classroom. At the very last minute, it was changed to like when practical. Basically, if you can't do it, don't shut school, but please try to do it. So at the end of last year, we made sure, well, the high school is going to be a lot better off this coming school year. Lamb's got a lot of the standing ACs. We tried. I mean, you just can't have 100 degrees 3 days in a row. But we're trying to figure out how we can keep the buildings as cool as possible. And obviously we have our project going on. I don't know when we'll start that here. The air conditioning.
Conditioning is likely going to be 2026, 27.
Okay. And I don't know if you want to talk a little, Erin, about where we are with the capital project.
Sure. So we are finished the design phase of the new gymnasium upgrade. So we are on target to submit those plans for review in the beginning of March. We are going to use a third-party reviewer to try to expedite the process because NICET is running at about 9 to 11 month review process, whereas a third-party reviewer, the maximum they should take is 16 weeks. So our hope is to have that work done this summer in the high school gym. It's better work to do over the summer. It's less disruptive to the program. So that's our goal, but it will all depend on when we get the plans back from review. That initial submission also includes renovating the columns at Lambs, and it includes installing the lockdown buttons at all 3 buildings.
And just lastly, I don't know, Erin, you can talk about the realtor access around.
Yeah, so Dr. Warden and I are going to host a realtor breakfast next week, January 22nd. And the idea is to invite local realtors just to come learn about our programs that we offer here at Red Hook, to highlight some of our successes and different programs that we may offer students that set us apart from other school districts. We'll also talk about the non-resident tuition program and answer questions that they may have about that. Yeah, so we're excited about it.
How many do we have joining?
Right now, we have about 6, but we think that they're bringing colleagues, so we're anticipating more.
If you know
Yep.
people. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that was one of the ideas when I attended the national conference, that superintendents were doing in other parts of the country. And I thought that's easy, great, good way to advertise. I know they're asked a lot of questions when they're showing houses, and even if they can't move into the district, what are the possibilities of? So yeah, we'll let you know how it goes. Feel free to come if you want.
Anything
And that's
else?
it. No.
All right. Dr. Summers?
So this is an update on teaching and learning across the district. So I'd just like to highlight a few things. Kristen Strothman and I attended a New York State Education Department rollout of the pre-K through grade 3 literacy instructional best practices and the K through 3 literacy curriculum review guide. As per Education Law 818, districts must now attest that in September 2025, that a curriculum review that has been completed in pre-K through grade 3, ensuring instruction and interventions aligned with the commissioner's requirements. We are in excellent shape. Almost all teachers in pre-K through grade 5 participated in a curriculum mapping summer work last summer to integrate the big 6 skills in writing into our curriculum maps. We have continued that process this year with plans for summer curriculum work this summer. So we will be in excellent shape for that process. A lot of school districts have not started that process. It's a huge undertaking. But we've always been reflective in what our work looks like as far as updating it. Dr. Boyd and I will be participating in the Regional Professional Development Planning Subcommittees. That's through Dutchess BOCES. We will support the subcommittee in literacy and numeracy and instructional design and assessment. That will be ongoing starting in next week. And that'll help support the BOCES work to make sure that they're meeting the needs of school districts. I continue to work with teams of administrators and teachers during the following meetings to make sure people are updated and that we're clearly communicating expectations, but also sharing any issues or concerns that teachers in the field or administrators need to discuss. So that happens during coherence, technology, curriculum council, equity, professional development, and our APPR committees. So we are busy in the district, but I think we're also enjoying it. So
Excellent.
thank you.
Thank you. All right, that brings us to the BOE review. We can do a readout on committees. Maybe we can start with the Community Relations Committee. We call it community engagement? Community engagement, okay, all right. Yeah. Yeah, I was reading what was written, but I thought it was community engagement, yeah. Yeah. Who from that committee would like to do a readout?
So we met and we worked on our new community partnership team on the informational flyer, as well as the questionnaire. Janet helped us with that quite a bit, so thank you. We did set some dates for the building tours. This is for that group of community members that will come in. It would be the same community members each time. We're looking for around 12. But we're looking at February 21st for Red Hook High School. That March 21st for Mill Road Elementary, and then May 5th for Linden Avenue. And all of these will run from 9 to 11, with the theory being that we would like some board members, if you're check your availability, to be able to go on these tours with the administrators and with our community members. And the community members would attend each session. They would go to all three.
And can you summarize the process for how we're going to select people, how many we're going to select?
So we're looking to select about 12 of them. We are working on the questions now, and we would either go through those. If we have more than that, then it would probably go to a lottery system.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I will, yeah, we'll send you a flyer. Once it gets tweaked, we'll do that. So we talked about that. We worked on that. We'll talk about that.
And then is the idea at the end of each of these tours, the representatives are, from the community that do the tour will be able to offer feedback, suggestions, thoughts?
Yes, and then we would then share that out with the rest of the board. But yes, that would be, and we're looking for something to do instead of a meet and greet. And so this is what we came up with. So we would
Yeah.
use, collaborate with them with their input, and then and we talked about having a speaker at the end.
Right, so having the directors come to, so I can't remember exactly who's coming on each day,
Right.
but some of the high school would have food service and transportation. Mill Road, then they would have technology and athletics, and then PPS, and I'm missing something of facilities. So that you're able to hear from not only the building, but also what the director's point of view of the different things that are happening. Right, and I envision questions throughout the whole tours, feedback, and then a discussion at the end. And it'll be the same people, and it's very important that the timing I know is challenging for people, but it's really important that school's in session,
They can see
Yeah.
what's going on.
so they can see what's happening.
Yeah,
Thanks for bringing that idea.
that's what I was gonna say, is that it's really about getting the community members back into the school buildings and the classrooms and getting to reconnect with what's happening, because it's been a long time, and with COVID, it's been even longer.
Yeah.
So we're trying to kind of bridge that with the community again.
And a lot of these times when you do things like this, you start to build partnerships that you didn't know, like, oh, I didn't know you did that in the community. I didn't know you could support our students in that way.
And then do one of you want to speak to the safe routes to school? That we have the town coming next.
Yeah, this is kind of in the parking lot for the committee. Is we're looking at kind of safe walkability in the village and in the town for students. Kind of looking at the surrounding streets and, what could help to make it a safer commute for students, walking, biking, whatever it might be. So we have reached out to see if a representative from the town could attend the next meeting to look into, what they've explored to that end, and see how we could, support efforts. Whether it's speed bumps, more sidewalks, whatever it could be.
I know in a
Crossing
number of
guard
areas
support.
over the years, they have extended sidewalks. We've all seen it. I kind of wonder if they have a longer term plan on where they may be extending sidewalks.
Yeah.
But it's a grant, that this particular program is a grant.
Ah.
There is a specific grant that's called Safe Routes to School. per student. See, I had it right there. And Rhinebeck actually received it, and they were able to expand their sidewalks. So it was just one of the things that we kind of were hoping to see if we could look into together, maybe partnering with the town to see
Yeah,
where
makes
where it
sense.
could lead.
That it? That's all you did?
I can make this into a paper airplane.
No, it's great to see the new committee, um, uh, with several great things. So anyways, good. Um, Policy?
Yep. Also, I just wanted to comment on that too, and just say about the community, the committee and all the work. It definitely seems like the point of creating that committee and the board's presence to make a connection with the community, it feels way more meaningful, the type of things that are coming forward. I know it's in its early infancy, but compared to my limited experience, this feels like so much more engaging and helpful for the board as well as for the community. So just
Good.
that's anyway. Yeah. Yeah. For policy, there is a lot. But I think how I'd like to summarize some of the work is that um, there's a lot being done around transportation in this last go around, some on facilities too. But for the board to know, Mr. Alessi and Anthony from the Department of Transportation for the district worked on the recommendations from what we get from Erie Wambosi's and our existing policy work, and did a collaborative effort to match recommendation with current practice, and spent time going through the policies that you'll see coming next time. But I just think that that's such a critical way to create policy, is having the experts in the district say so to what is actually going on. And it creates a greater liability net for the district, which feels supportive of not only the work that they're doing, but also our students and community in that same way. Feels really responsible. So I'm happy to see that policy is evolving in a different way, and that they're getting a lot more feedback directly from the different departments and people who are sitting. And I know the stuff is it's dense. It's hard to look through. It's probably why some of the things haven't been updated in a long time. Understandably, other things are going on day to day. And I know Scott's doing the same thing with the facilities, things that you'll see upcoming. Anyway, it makes for someone who's working on the policy committee, rest assured that there's direct input from the people who are doing the work and how it matches up to the recommendations that the district gets on how to write the policies in a given area.
Thank you. And that brings us to facilities. Aaron, I think you were going to read out.
Sure. So Erin kind of mentioned this really briefly, but the third-party review information was submitted to the state for the gym renovation. State contracts were found, so we don't have to go through the bid process. That's looking to. Okay, okay. We think, okay. So we're hoping that that will be ready to go this June and hopefully be finished up in the summer. And then summer 25 began looking at the field design for the soccer field construction to the west. It's looking like a summer 2026 start, possibly just being out of commission for a season. And then the last topic of discussion was field one. So we talked about a couple options. We could propose another capital project. If we were to do that, that would go to voters in May. And then if approved, we would be looking at, a several year down the road finish. And I think we're thinking that's not a great option. We really need to fix the field now. So we're looking at resurfacing the grass, utilizing the fund balance. With this fix, that would allow us to start right away. So in the spring, and if sodded, we would be in full use for the fall, which won't affect any of the sports programs. And with that said, if we are only looking to resurface just the grass field, we could possibly bring up the track resurfacing, a new fence, and possibly lights into a capital project, a smaller capital project.
Yeah, yeah. So the idea would be, we would fix the field, we would resod, the
Surface.
field inside the track, which has pressing need to get fixed. And we would do that out of fund balance. And then we would have a separate, capital project that would require voter approval, for fixing the fence, the track, and potentially lights if we want to do that. So that's something that we have to explore further and then present more information to the board. So.
We talked about being at a max of 500,000, but those numbers are not firm.
Those are estimates, yeah.
So, we toyed with, do we bring this up to a capital project? But the problem being is that it will affect our programs. We may not be able to use the fields and they wouldn't be finished for 2+ years.
It would, yeah, it would take an extra year because we have to, file with the state. The state has to approve. Yeah, after vote approval, the state has to then, then we've got to get the design work and then file, and that's 12 months, or we could use an outside, review agency, but it delays it it delays it a year, at least. So,
What's the expected lifespan of that, like the sodding? Like 2 years, 3 years? No years?
well, I think part of it depends on how well we take care of it. Yeah, so.
Right now, it's my pressing issues. The safety of that field, part of this renovation would raise the drainage so we wouldn't have those big gullies. So it would be more uniform. We still have a crown because you have to have a crown on a grass field to get it to drain. But it would address that major safety concern I have right now. And right now, as you've heard me say, the grass that's on there is not good grass. So this would fix that.
One question I would have about that is we had talked about that it would be more beneficial to do the field, the track at once and the fence because of just the construction work. And so this would be in separate things. So the field would be resodded and then.
And then later the track can be resurfaced and the fence can be done.
And so does that not potentially cause harm to the field?
No.
That's just been
It's
resodded?
just more of a challenging workflow for them, but they've assured us that they've done it before. So.
Yeah, Tom said like if we were to do this immediate sodding for the track, because there are some areas, right, that have cracks or are immediately, it's still usable, but we could just fix those now. Then do the capital project and then do the research, the entirety of it that will not be hugely disruptive to the work we do and invest in the sodding. That makes sense.
yeah.
And the lights, like nothing would prohibit the next phase. And then like a nicer fence and lighting. Not 100% sure, but we're toying with these different ideas.
But so with the way the field is now, will it impact your spring sports?
No, we would do it, probably plan on doing it at the end of May when the track season's done. And for this spring, I'm trying to move as many lacrosse games off of the field as I can to Bard College and Deeds Stadium, their new turf facility. Partly because I have the concerns that I have. So,
But this hybrid approach of resodding, out of our fund balance allows us to get field one resodded and usable for the fall, because that's pressing, issue there. And then the other items aren't as pressing, and we can get voter approval as a capital project, and those items, then would be covered 2/3 with state aid. So we get the significant benefit there. It may take a year later, because we then have to get approval from the state. They've got to review the plans. But
The resodding would be for the fall. It's not, you're not trying to get it done for this spring.
No,
Okay.
the resod, it would be
Sorry.
done, it would be done over, it would be done starting like hopefully in May, June through the summer. So it would be ready for the fall.
Right,
And
okay.
then the track and redoing the fence would be a capital project, which then has, you know, there's a kind of an extra 12-month to have to go through the state. But also we get 2/3 state
Right.
funding to cover the cost of that. So
Yeah, so the field was resodded even middle of June, that gives me a solid 3 months. And we're not talking about growth because you're going to resod it. Generally in 6 weeks, you could be back on it. So this would give us even more time there, to stay off and get that good grass to grow. And additionally, in the football schedule, I can request that, hey, the first 3 weeks, we're not going to be home. We're going to be on the road. And so, maybe we don't need it till the 1st of October. So I'd be comfortable with that. Yeah.
It's also a repair. It's not a rebuild. So
Right.
it goes quicker. We're not,
Yeah.
it would not be a rebuild, just repairing the surface of it to try to, like Tom said, level it, those side dips to level up. So the timeline's shorter than it would be if it was a rebuild.
Does it resolve in any way the drainage issues? You said something about that.
So my concern is that the drainage being just such heavy drop offs, and speaking to a couple of contractors, they would come in and raise those so that there are 4 literal drains in each corner of the field. They would raise them up appropriately, put new gravel and probably tubing, skim all the grass off, probably some really good new topsoil, and that field is irrigated. They'll have to work around that, but I'm sure that's not an issue. And then lay brand new sod and we go from there.
It's not a new irrigation system. That would be part of a rebuild.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's something that the board really has to think strongly about, that you're taking $500,000 out of a reserve. The other option is you shut the field down and you do capital project and you wait till you get that. That's the position that we're in.
Yeah.
But it's something to really think about, because you're not getting aid on that, and that's a lot of money. And a regular grass field's about what?
I mean, to start it over, like
Yeah.
what we're talking about. Yeah.
It's about, with cost escalation, it's about 2.5 million,
And the aid on that is
64%.
so.
So those are prices based off on the 2 fields that were just passed. And those fields would be the same, where you're going down X amount of feet and starting over.
Did talk about was the fact that we're waiting for the village and the sewer system. So bringing up another project to voters when we're still waiting on another one, could be problematic. So this, I mean, if we were to bring it up to the voters, this could potentially be finished before the other field that the voters already passed.
Well, that's actually not quite accurate. The capital project that we had approved in May was to do 2 grass fields, and we're moving forward on the soccer field. The other one in the back, because we don't want to take 2 of those fields out at the same time, we will stagger that one. Which of the fields we do in the back, may be impacted by whether or not the town does the sewer project, and are they able to get that done in 2027? And, do we connect to that? But that's not delaying our moving forward on the grass fields that were approved in May. That's not delaying. The town's sewer project is not delaying our starting that.
And then the important thing about the town, Scott was great with giving us, what are those called? The
Schematic.
blueprints. I forget words now. This is my new thing. And the sewer project, what they are projecting in terms of placement will not impact any of our potential plans.
There's 3 fields in the back. The one, if you were, the one that's on the most to the east,
Yeah.
has, that's where we have our leach field.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't want to redo that field until we had an answer from the town as to whether or not we were going to connect into their sewer, because if we connect into their sewer, we don't need the leach field and we can just resurface it.
Yep.
If we don't connect into their sewer to redo that field, we have to dig it up and also redo the leach field. So it's a bigger build. So, but there's 2 other fields back there, And so what we would probably do is, I think Tom suggested doing the middle one.
Yeah, if we don't hook up with the town, I think that's that's a pretty significant project to do that field. We'd be comfortable doing the field next to it. Ideally, if we do hook up to the town, that field against the furthest east, I think provides the best spot to, to renovate.
Yeah.
In my
So,
opinion.
so we can move forward, doing first the soccer field and then one of the fields in the back. And the only thing that impacts us as it relates to whether or not we do or don't, or the town does or doesn't do the sewer project that we could connect into, is just the field in the back that's furthest to the east.
Just to give you an idea of timeline, so if we do put up anything for a capital project, that legal language has to be adopted on March 20th in order to make the statutory guideline for a May vote. So that would leave you one discussion on the 20th of February. February 6th is the budget workshop. So February, we have two, but the 6th is the budget workshop and the 20th is a regular meeting.
We'll have there'll be more information coming. Yeah. Any questions on this? It's obviously still some work in process, but
Yeah, I would just want to again discuss the fund balance in on times of uncertainty, but this is the position that we're in of trying to get a field 3 times because I have some hesitancy to that, but I also then everything would be off campus, correct? Everything. We would close it down and be off campus
mean,
probably for like 2 years. Yeah.
If it end up being, hey, we're gonna, that gets passed in the other project, that's probably a 2027. That's a long time, but that concerns me a little bit.
Yeah.
Just for clarity, the fund balance are you talking about the reserve?
not the capital
Okay.
reserve. No.
At one
That-
point
that-
you said reserve, so
Right.
yeah, the reserve would be a public vote.
We did talk about as an option having a proposition where we could ask voters to allow us to, but we have to ask voters to allow us to pull money from the
So we're
capital
being clear
reserve.
about what.
Right. But if we do that, then we, right. But if we go the capital project route where we would pull the money out of the capital reserve fund, then we also have to go through the state filing process, which delays it. And if we're going to do that, we may as well do a full rebuild, because if we do a full rebuild, we get 64% state aid coverage. And that puts us back at almost the same cost as, yeah.
So Tom, if we were to do capital project, full rebuild, how would that affect our sports teams and how many? Like we would be on the road for how many seasons? And where would we be?
I don't know, it's a tight timeline. If you had a May 2025, May 2025, sorry, approval, could it be a build in summer of 2026? I mean,
It's possible.
Possible.
I'd have to, talk to the architect. It's usually a 6-month design phase. Then if we used a third-party reviewer, that would expedite it. And then we'd have to go out to bid for everything. So it's possible by the end of summer 2026, it would be very tight.
Yeah.
So lots of disruptions with programs. Yeah.
So there's obviously, a fair bit that's still being worked through, and we'll have, the next board meeting, more information, or the next time we have more, follow-up committee meetings, but,
Just urgency.
or there is, a trade-off of, urgency of fixing field 1 versus, a longer, more significant
Yeah,
approach
those
that,
consequences were discussed during those times. Yeah.
yeah. Versus a more significant rebuild that would have state aid. So anyways, we wanted to provide a little bit of a readout so the board understands, the different options and things that are being considered. There's no decisions yet. And ultimately, things will get refined and, we'll come back with more conclusive information and data and cost estimates, and then the board can discuss more thoroughly. And ultimately, we will have to decide which direction we want to go. So those are the options. Questions? All right. Well, that's the three committees. BOE member comments. Anybody have comments? Anything you would need to get off your chest? That's appropriate for. It's appropriate. Yeah.
Are you reading? I cannot read it in Spanish, but I would slaughter it. So I was able to attend the Red Hook PTSA meeting last night. And that is the Parent Teacher Student Association for our middle school and high school. And so they are having their first fundraiser. It is on Friday, February 7th from 6 to 8. It coincides with Lamb's dance activity night at the Elmendorf Inn. So you're all invited. They also have a new Facebook page. If you just look up Red Hook PTSA, and they are putting out different events, pieces of information, updating it quite a bit. So I would encourage everyone to check that out. And anyone in the community is invited to this fundraiser as well. So hope to see y'all there.
Excellent. Anybody else? Anything? No? All right. Sorry, I lost my agenda. 1 second. That brings us to policy review and approval. We have two policies for second read. Do I have a motion? Any questions or comments on any of these? Not? All in favor? Opposed? Okay. We did cover the consent agenda. That brings us to personnel agenda. Do I have a motion? Any comments, questions on any of these? No? All right. All in favor? Sorry. Opposed?
Can I just say something really quick? Just want to congratulate Kevin, one of our bus drivers. He's been working here for 17 years on his retirement. Thank you for your dedicated service, and please enjoy your retirement. Also, thank you to Donna for her service as a teacher aide, and we wish her well also in her retirement. Larry Anthony, we also wish him well in the retirement, but he's coming right back, so we will see him. So congratulations to everyone who's retiring, and go somewhere warm. That's it.
Excellent. That brings us to second recognition of visitors. Do we have anybody? No? Okay. All right. Well, that brings us to our item Q, adjournment. Do I have a motion?
Second.
All in favor?